thank you so much for joining us today. We're giving it a couple of seconds just so we have the YouTube stream on. And it looks like that is now set up. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to hand it over to our interpreters, Vicky and Gloria, who will be giving some instructions on how to access interpretation.
Okay. Bienvenidos sean todos y muchas gracias por acompañarnos hoy. Antes de empezar la reunión, explicaremos las funciones necesarias para acceder a la interpretación simultánea al español. Si están utilizando su computadora portátil o computadora de escritorio, favor de localizar el icono con la figura de globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla cuando este aparezca en un minuto y luego pulsen en interpretación del lenguaje, Language Interpretation, y seleccionen el idioma del español. Si están sintonizándonos desde su teléfono, iPad o dispositivo similar, busquen al menú con los 3 puntitos en la esquina superior del lado derecho de su pantalla y pulsen interpretación del lenguaje y luego español. Esto permite que escuchen la traducción al español con un 80% de volumen y el audio en inglés se escuchará al fondo con un 20% de volumen. Tienen la opción de apagar el audio en inglés pulsando Mute Original Audio, ubicado en el mismo menú donde eligieron el idioma español. Gracias.
Thank you for that. And interpretation is now launched. So para los que necesitan acceder la interpretación, ya está el botón disponible. Y favor de mandarme mensajes si algún tiempo si tienen algún problema accediendo la interpretación. Muchas gracias. Next slide, please. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We have an interesting agenda today with some great updates on all the great work the Air District and others have been doing. So without further ado, I wanted to pass it on to my colleague, Joanny, to go over our meeting objectives on the agenda.
Good evening, everyone. Today's meeting objectives are to determine the 2020 meeting calendar for the rest of the steering committee meetings, to receive an update on the truck idling signage efforts in the Portside community and enforcement of commercial harbor craft regulations. We're going to learn about the San Diego Gas and Electric Clean Transportation programs and hear about San Diegans for sustainable, equitable, and quiet equipment in landscaping. And after going through roll call and approving notes in tonight's agenda, we'll start off with the discussion on the 2020 meeting calendar led by Domingo, followed by the compliance update from Tim Wolfe. And then we'll move on to the Clean Transportation Programs presentation, followed by the Electrifying Landscaping Equipment presentation. And we'll close off with public comments, closing remarks, and any last announcements. And then just a quick reminder of our meeting agreements, which are to create space for everyone to contribute, to step up before on the quiet side, to step back if you've had a chance to contribute, to only have one person speak at a time, to listen to each other, to respect each other's opinions, knowledge, and perspective, to be conscious of time, and to speak slowly and clearly for our interpreters. And with that, I'll pass it back to Chewy for roll call.
Chewy, sorry to interrupt. I believe our interpreter is in the English channel rather than the Spanish.
Thank you for noting that. Johnny, can you make that assignment?
Yes, I'm making that.
Thank you for that. While that's being sorted out, I'm just going to do a quick roll call. So when I call your name, please just note that say you're here or say hi. So City of San Diego, Keith Corey.
Here.
Hello, Keith. Jack Monger wasn't able to join us today, but Massey Hatch, are you here?
Yes, here. Hello.
Hi, Massey. Sarah Giobi.
Hi, I'm here. I did want to point out you still show Lydia as working for NASCO. She actually works for BAE.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Lydia, are you here? I'm seeing Lydia. Sandy Naranjo.
Present.
Hi, Sandy. Larry Hoffreiter.
I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Larry. Phil Trom at Sandag. Not seeing. I see Phil. I see you on the list. Joy Williams.
Good evening. I'm here.
Hi, Joy. Lupita Montoya.
Here.
Lupita. Martin Reeder, National City. Not seeing Martin. It's David Welch here. Not seeing David either. Roman Partida Lopez. Not seeing Roman. Dr. Stephanie Yoon.
I'm here.
Hello. Is Dr. Alejandro Diaz here as well? Not seeing Dr. Diaz. Jose Marquez Chavez, Caltrans.
Yes, I'm here. And I also would like to introduce Diane Bermulin. She's my alternate, as you know. Today is going to be my last meeting with the steering committee. I accepted a position in District 7. That's our LA office, starting yesterday. I started yesterday. So very excited to start that new position, but also very grateful to be for being part of this this effort. And hopefully I'll bring a lot of the knowledge that I acquired through this effort in District 7 in our LA with our LA district. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose, for those remarks, and thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Jose, you were not allowed to leave. We're gonna miss you, but thank you so much for all your contributions.
Thank you, Domingo.
Great. And Diane, I see that you're here, so looking forward to having you on.
I'm looking forward to it.
Great. And then Samantha Louie. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. At the
No
US.
problem. Yeah, I am here. It's Samantha Liu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just so folks know, Samantha Liu is taking over for AC. AC will be stepping away from the AB 617 committee, but still be involved in all sorts of things. So thank you so much, AC, for your contributions. Is Helen Haas here? Not seeing Helen. Next slide, please. Dinah Willier.
I'm here.
Dinah.
I'm here.
Got you. Is Filomena Marino here? Not seeing Filomena. Is Janice Luna Reynoso here? Not seeing Janice. Mr. John Alvarado. I see you. Hillary Medina. Not seeing Hillary. Alicia Sanchez.
Okay.
Hola, Alicia. Margarita Moreno.
Here.
Hola, Margarita.
Hi.
Naomi Sanchez. Is Naomi Sanchez here? Not seeing you on the participant list. Vanessa Contreras.
Here.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hi.
Salvador Raza Abrica.
Here.
Hi, Sal. Montserrat Hernandez.
Presente.
Hola, Montserrat. Sylvia Calzada.
Present.
Hi, Sylvia. Ashley Valentin Gonzalez.
Present.
Hi, Ashley. Is Josephine Talamantes with us?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Josephine. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And is Maritza Contreras here?
Present. Hi, guys.
Hi, Maritza. Thank you, everybody. Great attendance. Moving along to general updates. I did want to give a quick update on our team. I wanted to welcome Ana Cueva Flores, who will be giving the facilitation team support with all the back end, and she joined our team at the last meeting, so you might have noticed her email in the Zoom chat. And I wanted to pass it over to Domingo for any other updates from the Air District.
Thank you, Chuy. A quick update just to let everyone know that we established the SERP MCAS implementation subcommittee, and that thank you for everybody that responded to our call for participants for that subcommittee. We are going to start meeting this Thursday at 9 a.m. And we'll continue to meet every other week. And we hope to discuss projects that are overlapping between the SERP and the MCAS, and get some preliminary input from this group, from the subcommittee, and then bring back to the larger committee any particular updates for the entire group. So we're very excited about that effort, and both Larry from the port and myself we're both going to be co-chairs for that subcommittee, and the meetings are open to anybody who would like to join. So even though we have our dedicated, I guess, members of that subcommittee, anybody can attend. The agendas are posted in advance on our website. Our agenda for Thursday is posted on our website already. If you would like to access it, you can just go to our website where we have all the steering committee meeting agendas. You scroll all the way down, we have the subcommittee section there where we will post agendas and any other relevant documents. So just wanted to share that. And then also just thank AC and Jose for their contributions to the steering committee. We really appreciate all the time and work that you put into getting us to where we're at today, and really looking forward to continuing our work as a team, and hopefully with you at some point again in the future. So thanks again. And that's it for me, Chuy. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see Larry has your hand raised.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. Just a quick announcement. I'm very excited, along with Domingo, to be working on the MCAS implementation subcommittee. So big thanks to everyone who is volunteering to help us with that. The other thing I wanted folks to know is that we're continuing to make progress on our on the goals and objectives we identified in the MCAS. And in March, we're scheduled to bring forward a preliminary zero emission truck transition plan to our Board of Port Commissioners. And that is tentatively scheduled right now for March 8th of 2022. So I encourage anyone who's interested in zero emission trucks to come to that meeting. The idea is to go ahead and again, share some preliminary data, some preliminary recommendations in terms of how we can hit some of those zero emission truck targets we identified, get some feedback, but then have a final plan prepared in June. But that first check-in is going to be on March 8th. So again, encourage all of you that are interested to please attend. Thanks.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. Moving on to our next item on the agenda. We sent folks over the draft meeting notes from last month. Opening it up to the steering committee members for a motion and a second to approve the notes and tonight's agenda.
Hi, Chuy. I so move.
Thank you. Sandy, I believe that was you.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's me, Sandy. This is Manita, second.
A second from Maritza. Thank you. To make things quick, if anybody has any opposition to the motion, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we can assume they are approved. Hearing none, seeing none, thank you so much, folks. And now moving on to the next agenda item. So I'm going to hand it over to the Domingo to lead us on a discussion on determining the 2022 meeting calendar.
All right, thank you so much, Chuy. Yeah, there you go. So first of all, thank you for everyone's who participated in the survey that we conducted to identify a good alternative time for this meeting time. It was brought to our attention that our meetings conflicted with the National City Council meetings, who meet every first and third Tuesday of the month. So we provided a list of options, and here are the top responses from the survey. We had about 18 responses total, and as you can see from the graphs, all those bars on red, those are our Tuesday meeting days. First Tuesday of the week, second, third, and fourth, for every day really of the week. But those bars in red really show that the highest responses are for Tuesdays, typically. So based on all this information that we see from this, from these graphs, we identified the top responses or the top options. So here, the top choices are the second Tuesday of the month, at any time between 5 and 7, or 5 and 8. The third Tuesday of the month from 5 to 7, or from 5:30 to 7:30. And then after that, the first Monday of the month from 5 to 7, or from 5:30 to 7:30. And the fourth Tuesday of the month from 5 to 7. The only conflict here is that the second Tuesday of the month doesn't work for our facilitators, who are an important piece of this meeting. So narrowing down these choices even further, if we can go to the next slide. Our options to move the meeting are the following. So one is to leave the meeting as is, but that will continue to conflict with the National City Council meeting. If folks decided to keep the meeting as we currently have it, one alternative is that we do have the recordings of the meetings posted on our website, and we have the agendas posted and the presentations posted also. And if there are any comments that anybody wants to submit ahead of the meeting, they are certainly welcome, and we can try to accommodate additional time for those folks who need to be at the National City Council meeting. The alternative is to move the meetings to either the fourth Tuesday of the month from 5 to 7, or the first Monday of the month from 5 to 7. Looking at the responses that everybody submitted, it looks like perhaps moving to the fourth Tuesday instead of the third Tuesday would probably be the less impactful change if we were to change the meeting times. But right now, we are going to have a quick poll to choose from these three options. So if you can please complete the poll, and then based on these results, we will continue to have our meetings depending on whichever time works best for everybody. So we'll please submit your vote. And then Joanny, I don't know if you have if you're the one who has the results, but you can let us know what that looks like.
Yeah, let's give it a couple more seconds.
Sure.
You can only answer one? That's not going to work.
We're trying to identify a final time that works for most people. So that's why we're narrowing it down to one. And I see some responses on the chat. I know Vanessa responded in the chat with option A. Okay, here we go. So I don't know if everybody can see on their screens, but it looks like moving to the 4th Tuesday of the month from 5 to 7 is our top choice here. It's probably the less impactful option. It still continues to be on a Tuesday and the same time. We're just moving it a week over. We will continue to, we will reevaluate our meeting time if we see that there is a drop in attendance. We certainly want to continue the momentum that we have going, and we want to keep everybody engaged. So if we see that there's a negative impact on this change, we will certainly revisit this conversation and either go back to the time that we had originally or do another survey to identify a time that works best for everybody. But in the meantime, I really appreciate everyone's participation and also appreciate your flexibility in trying to accommodate this new time. This will allow us to meet at a different time than the National City Council meeting, which will allow people to participate in those meetings as well. So moving forward, starting in March, we will meet the 4th Tuesday of the month from 5 to 7 p.m. So we will send an email reminder for the next meeting, and we will update our meeting dates on our website as well.
Thank you, Domingo. And before we move to the next item, just wanted to open it up to see anybody wanted to share anything. I know that was pretty quick, but just want to make sure everyone's heard. Hearing none. So, yes.
Well, I'm not sure if this is the right time to share, but as you probably know, the whole thing with San Diego Gas and Electric is blowing skywide right now. And with the new machines that are supposed to be going into place, we'll need to run basically 24/7. There's lots of issues even with those. But having said that, there's going to be some serious problems with people trying to pay for the electricity bill when they have these machines running 24/7. And we still haven't figured out yet how we're going to take care of, we think we got grandma and grandpa taken care of, but how about the 5 kids in the next room? So we still got some big things that we have to consider.
John, are you talking about the air filtration systems?
Yes, the air purification systems.
Right. We actually have there's a stipend component included in the program to cover for the additional costs. So just wanted to make you aware of that.
Oh, I am aware, but with currently it doesn't appear that any kind of compensation is going to catch up unless the people at San Diego Gas and Electric decide to help lower the price for these individuals. As it stands right now, many of our community members can't afford what they have now. And so it's gone up considerably. And I'm not sure whether or not that little stipend is going to be sufficient. The other thing is that we still haven't figured out what happens to the kids in the next room. And we still need to figure out, and as a group, I believe, contact Sacramento and let them know that for many of us, we're going to have to buy our own systems. And if we have a health certificate stating that we need specifically equipment to do what the doctor says needs to be done, then we should be able to deduct that off of our taxes, okay? Most of the whole house air systems will take care of all the air before it comes into your home. With these machines, the little ones, the dirty air has to come in first, and now it's all over your furniture, it's all over your clothes, your bedding, your pillow, and that's a particular issue. So it's a good start, don't get me wrong. I'm very, very happy with it. But like with me, I'm a retired school teacher, and I'm not going to qualify. And I do have a letter from my doctor stating that I do have to have clean air. And I have the evidence of my filters for my sleep apnea machine that are coming out. I'm supposed to change them out every 30 days. I change them out every week, and they are grayish black, okay? And it's still not collecting all of the particulate, okay? And mind you, so like with my system, same thing is true. The air has to come into the building first, and then it's over everything. It's on your kids, it's on everything. So it's a huge, huge health issue that I think we need to at least address it so that families don't think we're just trying to hide behind one little solution. Because I know what will happen, and it's already happening here in the community. They're going to lie to us again.
Thank you, John, and thank you for sharing that. We hear you loud and clear. Yeah, and just so folks know, we're trying to stay on topic on scheduling, but welcome to discussion in the public comment section. Wanted to see if Sylvia had anything to share about scheduling and the meeting calendar, since you had your hand raised.
Yes, thank you, Chewy. Just a quick comment in regards to, I voted for the fourth Tuesday of the month, 5 to 7, but I could work around with the third Tuesday. I know we have our council meetings, but usually it starts at 6, so we could work around that. Hopefully, things will go smooth. And the other concern is, if we do have it on fourth Tuesday, we have to be very understanding and supervise the deadlines when we have deadlines to achieve, because it's the last, one of the last Tuesdays of the month, and normally, you know, we could have to rush things. So that's something to consider at some point. I know we do that, but something that we have to consider as well, since it's the last day of the month. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Appreciate the comment. And Domingo, I don't know if there's anything to consider about deadlines, but I think, yeah, it's a good option to try out and see how it works out for next month. And we can always move back to the third Tuesday, which seems to work as well.
Right, like I said, I mean, we can always reevaluate if we see that moving it to the fourth Tuesday doesn't work. We can at least try and accommodate this new option to see if that relieves a little bit more of those, you know, folks who need to be at the National City Council meetings. But because, you know, there might be also members of the public that are not necessarily voting members of the CSC who might want to be interested in attending both our meetings and the National City Council meetings. So we'll see how it works. And again, if we see any negative impacts from the move, we can always go back to the third Tuesday. So we'll definitely keep an eye out for that. Thank you, Sylvia. And I know Lupita had her hand up too.
Well, my comment was to reassure the previous person who made a comment, which was really not on the agenda for the topic, but I wanted to assure him that that I will personally be paying attention to anything that has to do to indoor air quality, because that is has been the focus of my 30-some year career in academia and research specifically. So with regards to some of the fears that he has, I just wanted to mention that I will be looking closely at that, and I would do my very best to explain or to question whatever has to do with that. So I just wanted to make sure that he was aware that I'm here and that I'm here to help.
Thank you, Lupita. All right, moving on to the next agenda item. I wanted to hand it over to Tim Wolfe at the San Diego Air District, who's going to give an update on truck idling and the harbor craft regulations.
Great, thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So I'll go ahead and start off by introducing myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tim Wolfe. I'm one of the compliance supervisors at the Air Pollution Control District, and I oversee the district's mobile source inspection program. And so tonight, I'm just going to talk a little bit about our idling inspections, and we have an exciting update about some new signs that were posted. And I'll close out by providing a quick Harborcraft update. And as we move along here, if you have any questions, please feel free to jump in or raise your hand, and we can address them as we go through, this information or at the end, whichever you prefer. So next slide, please. Okay, great. So as I was thinking about what I wanted to share tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about the progression of our idling inspections. And as some of you may recall, back in 2 years ago now, almost 3 years ago, we worked pretty closely with the steering committee. We had a couple of meetings where we talked about commercial vehicle idling concerns. We even created a map, and we identified idling hotspots. And at the time, I think this was probably 2019-ish, we really weren't finding a lot of idling issues. And part of that was because we weren't proactively doing inspections. And so I think what this illustrates is kind of this progression of how we've been able to basically increase our footprint in the Portside communities. We're out there now doing quite a bit of inspections. We've had to take some enforcement action, and as you could see, from 2019 to 2021, we've really ramped up the number of inspections that we're doing. We're out and about in the community. Usually we're out there 2 days per week for a few hours, basically checking for idling trucks in areas that are close to schools and homes. And so just last year, we did a little over 1,700 inspections, and we issued about 18 citations. And this is all within the Portside communities. And so I just wanted to share that information, show you that we are still actively doing these inspections. And what we're also finding is we do find a pretty high compliance rate. If you look at the number of inspections we've done and compare it to the number of citations, for the most part, people are following the rules. But of course, we are still finding some issues. And next slide, please. So as part of our inspections, it was actually one of our field inspectors who came up with the idea of posting some signs, some no idling signs. And I think, part of that was related to some discussions that they had with out-of-state drivers, claiming that they weren't aware of the idling limits, 5-minute idling limits, particularly in restricted zones, within 100 feet of a residence or school. And so as part of that, we had this idea of, okay, can we post signs? And would it help to at least notify people, particularly these out-of-state drivers, if they did or did not know, this is something we could at least point to and say, hey, look, there's a sign there, you can't idle. And so we reached out to the Air Resources Board, and they in fact had some extra signs, and they were supportive of this idea, and they sent the signs down to us, provided them for free. We had 10 initially to start off, and while out doing our inspections, our field staff identified 10 locations where we thought would be, good areas to post these signs based off of, what they're finding out there throughout the week. And so these are the locations that, we proposed to the city to post the signs. And I've identified, highlighted in yellow, the signs that have been posted. We're still working on posting one sign in National City. And we hope to get that one posted pretty soon. And so we worked with the city. I have to give a shout out to the transportation department. They were great. We provided the signs and they had them posted within 30 days or something like that. And so they were really open to the idea and supportive. And so if you go to the next slide, you can see, again, this is just kind of an aerial view of the locations that we proposed posting the sides. You can see there's the 5, and there's a bridge, Chicano Park, kind of give you just some overview perspective of where we had the signs placed. And next slide. So these are what the signs look like. I think they came out, they look good. We went out, we took some pictures of where they posted them. And I actually included some pictures of each one, but you may or may not see them when you're out and about. Our hope is that this does help raise awareness, for out-of-state drivers or local drivers, either way, that, idling they really need to be aware of where they are and what the idling limits are. And we want to try to, keep idling down to a minimum, to just essential idling. And so next slide. Yeah, thank you. So these are the other signs that were posted. So you may see them out and about. I think this is, we do have the sign specs. And, if we think, that there are additional areas that would benefit from a sign, posting signs, we're open to that, to working with the city. They've been very supportive. And so, yeah, I just wanted to provide that update. So far, it's worked out well. Good partnership. Next slide, please. And lastly, I just wanted to share another, I think, exciting update. This was, as some of you may recall, we had identified idling in part of as one of our compliance strategies to help reduce pollution, increase our idling activities. And one of the other compliance strategies we had was explore the possibility of us helping ARB, the California Air Resources Board, to do commercial hovercraft inspections. And so last year we had a lot of discussions. We went back and forth. ARB was receptive to this idea. I think they were welcoming the idea of having some help to do these inspections, and we're here locally. We have an agreement with them to do other mobile source inspections. And so in December, we actually signed updated the MOU, and we're able to add commercial hovercraft to the list of mobile source, or to the list of regulations that we can enforce locally. And so that's something we're going to be working on this year. We're going to do some outreach to let people know. And, the goal here is to do everything we can to, to reduce emissions in Portside communities. And lastly, I just want to include my contact information. If anyone has additional information or concerns about idling, please let me know, or you can, of course, you can always submit a complaint or concern to us. I provided the contact information for our office. There's a new application that we're developing. I think it's just about ready, if it's not already released. And that's just another way to let us know if you do see, idling activity. Let us know, and we'll go out and we'll check it out.
Thank you, Tim, for the great update, and good to see pictures of all the work y'all are doing. Just wanted to highlight Josephine's comment. She has a request to have a sign in front of Barrio Logan College Institute. She's noticing trucks stopping in the middle of the lane.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, great. Yeah, if anyone has any other suggestions for good locations, we'd be interested in, hearing about them. And
thank you.
Hey, Tim, this is Sarah Giobbi from NASCO. How you doing?
Hey, doing all right. Thanks.
Good. Thank you very much for doing this. I think it's a really pragmatic approach, and I really like it. I was wondering if you had any luck with the city on getting an updated map of the truck routes. The one that's widely circulated says that it's still in draft, and it shows a lot of the streets that you're not supposed to drive in green, which to most truckers indicates that they're okay to drive on. And I know I raised this about last year, maybe the year before, and everybody keeps saying the final map's coming, and I just have never seen it. I'd love to have one as a resource that we could point to, maybe put it on our website and things like that. But I'm kind of at a loss as to who to ask at the city for this.
Okay. No, that's something I think we have a good contact now. And so we can definitely ask. I think the draft that you've seen, I think it's probably the one we've all seen now. Yeah, so I can take that back and ask if you have it handy. Maybe you could send it over to me, and I can.
Yeah, sorry, Tim. I think good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say that we can certainly follow up. I don't know if there's anybody, from the city of San Diego that can address this right now, but we can certainly follow up with them tomorrow. As Tim mentioned, they've been very cooperative with this effort of posting these signs, and I think we developed a really good partnership with this transportation division. So we can certainly follow up with them, because I think it's important to have that as well.
Hi, this is Keith Corey from the mayor's office. Certainly happy to help in any way that I can with transportation. I'm in touch with them daily. So to the extent you want to loop me in on any of those conversations, I'm always happy to help advance the conversation or hunt down answers if you're not hearing back.
Great. Yeah, no, we'd appreciate that.
Thanks, everybody. Now I just want to respect folks who are raising their hands. So I'm seeing Joy Williams, followed by Montserrat, followed by Lupita.
Hi. Well, first, I just wanted to thank you, Tim, for that update. That was way more than we knew about it before, and it's amazing how many inspections you're doing. And then about commercial hovercraft, I wanted to let everybody know that the California Air Resources Board will be voting later this year on a revised version of the hovercraft rule. So EHC may be coming back to you sometime later this year, with a request for the steering committee to support a stronger rule. So just wanted to mention that as long as hovercraft has been mentioned. So thank you.
Thanks, Joy.
Thanks, Joy. Montserrat.
Sí, sobre los letreros me parece bien los letreros que nos mostraron y dónde los tienen ubicados, y al parecer hay la idea de poner más. Lo que yo quisiera mencionar que es muy importante el enforzamiento, ¿verdad? Que haya gente que esté checando realmente que no se esté violando esta medida o este código, porque muchas veces es ahí donde falla, porque nos ha tocado, ¿no? Que aunque haya el letrero, de todas maneras la gente sigue haciendo lo mismo. Entonces, sí, solo el enforzamiento, y mire la gráfica que ya hay más citaciones, más cosas pasando para enforzarlo, pero mantenerlo sería bueno.
Gracias, Montserrat. And I'll do a quick translation. Montserrat, I'm sure that she appreciated the update. And it was good seeing the photos of the signs out there. She wanted to reiterate the importance of enforcement being a key component of this work. And it's important. She's been seeing folks still not follow the signings. So she appreciates seeing that more enforcement and inspections that are being taken into account.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Oh, and just Norris has been translating the English channel. Thank you, Domingo.
Thanks, Domingo.
Lupita?
Yes, my question had to do with the data that was presented in terms of both the inspections and the citations. And yeah, so there's, quite a bit of inspections and orders of magnitude, like percentage wise of ending in citations. And I'm wondering whether they have noticed some sort of pattern in terms of what kind of inspection, or actually, what kind of inspections when the people complain, or whether you do the inspections that are specific ones that really have a high likelihood of ending in a violation, therefore with a citation. I was just wondering if there's a little bit more you can share with us in terms of the nature of that data. Because I'm wondering if there is a way to focus the efforts in some specific areas, or just anything else that you can share that would be great.
Sure. So I think, we have noticed a trend with some out-of-state drivers, that who aren't often making, routine drop-offs. So I think we are finding some issues there. And as far as locations, it's kind of hard to tell. It really depends on, the company who's making the delivery. I think we do see a pretty high compliance rate. It's something like, the non-compliance rate is something like 1%. So most drivers are following the rules. But, we still are seeing some issues out there.
And Tim, just to add to this, we are still in the community twice a week, right? Just conducting idling inspections. So we've significantly increased our presence in the community, specifically in some areas that we have identified that are, we're likely to observe illegal idling. Is that correct? We're still there twice a week?
Yeah, we're still there twice a week. And as far as complaints go, we do get some complaints. It's difficult to respond to a complaint within. Usually, you have to be out there within minutes. And so what we're finding is, these proactive inspections are much more useful in finding, idling, in finding issues with idling. Because if we're not out there, you're not going to see it.
One thing that, one quick update as far as our complaint program is that we've developed a plan under AB 423 that proposes some recommendations to enhance the complaint program. And this plan was recently approved by our board. And one of the recommendations is to have a 24-hour hotline for complaint response. And so that should help us to make sure that we're there, especially, after hours, when the community is reporting these complaints. So this 24-hour hotline should assist us to, decrease our response time.
I also want to add, this is William Jackson from the district, that, when we receive complaints, we add those locations typically to our route. They're investigated twice a week. So I think we came back to the steering committee last year, and at that time, it requested more locations, if anyone knew of more locations. So we take any feedback from this meeting, from complaints, to try to add that to a routine route to try to identify and see idling when it's happening. Because as Tim said, they come and go quickly, and you have to be in the neighborhood when it's happening to identify. So we try to look at for those areas so we can be there when it's happening. So again, if you have other locations or that have not been listed here, please let us know.
Thank you. And Lupita, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, I just wanted to comment regarding, the presentation that was done at APCD recently regarding the complaint program and the data that they shared with them, which was also very interesting regarding our, the comparisons of number of complaints among the various regions here in San Diego. And the comment I made there was how the Portside community showed consistently through the years the lowest number of complaints, in which case we discussed for a while, as I brought up, the idea that potentially there are barriers that interfere and the ability or the willingness of our communities to make complaints. So there was a very robust discussion that followed in terms of, what can we do to make that better? And so I appreciate anything that APCD is considering. And also I wanted to bring this up at this meeting because our communities need to know that we need to do our part as well. So I would like to just mention to this committee that we need to find ways to encourage our communities to look at this platforms, these tools that we have at our disposal, not only to just make complaints, but also to see it as conduits or tools to bring, benefits to our community. And therefore, we need to be actively involved. So looking at ways that we can help APCD do their job is, it would be a very positive thing. So I just wanted to say to this group so that all of our community members that are here can think about, how is it also our responsibility to contribute to the improvement of the tools that our, our monitoring agencies are developing for our benefit. Thank you.
I just posted a link to the plan that Lupita just mentioned for your reference.
Thank you, Mayani. Did you post it for everybody in the chat? I'm not seeing it on my end. But does anyone else have any other comments or questions for Tim and the monitoring team? Hearing none, well, thank you so much. And thank you, Lupita, for that call for action, getting folks involved with these tools to increase enforcement and compliance in the Portside community. Much appreciated. Now we'll move on to our next agenda item. And I want to pass the mic over to Dinah Willier, who is our San Diego Gas and Electric representative on our steering committee meeting, who will be giving a presentation on their clean transportation programs.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Chewy, for the introduction. And thank you very much also for the opportunity to share on SDG&E's clean transportation programs. I'm Dinah Willier with SDG&E's Clean Transportation Group, and I'm here to share with you the various electric vehicle charging programs that we have available. And these programs are really here to help reduce the charging infrastructure costs associated with transitioning to electric vehicles. And I'll be reviewing our Power Your Drive for Fleet program, which is aimed at our medium and heavy duty vehicles. And then also our Power Your Drive for apartments, condos, and workplaces, which is aimed at passenger type vehicles and level 2 charging. And then if you don't qualify for participation in any of these programs, we also have what we call our Rule 45, which is our EV infrastructure tariff, and that will be available in April of this year. And then lastly, we'll talk about some new grant funding available to our medium and heavy duty customers and an upcoming webinar. So next slide, please. As I mentioned, so this is our, this is our Power Your Drive for Fleet program. And really it is aimed at any vehicles that are over 6,000 pounds gross vehicle weight. As you can see here, there are a variety of vehicle types that qualify under this program, and it is a make-ready EV charging infrastructure program. And so you can see many of the types of vehicles that do work in the Portside community, such as for goods movements and transportation refrigeration units and yard trucks, etc., as well as forklifts. Next page, please. And this is our program was just launched in September 2020. It is a 5-year program, of which over $100 million was budgeted toward this program. And what we're looking to install is about over 3,000 new electric vehicles on the road, on-road and off-road at 300 customer sites. And we are currently working our way toward that goal. Next slide, please. There are some program requirements, and they are highlighted here. There is a demonstration commitment to procure at least 2 electric vehicles. Also, we are requesting that you have a demonstration to, you demonstrate that you do have a long-term plan in terms of electrifying more than 2 of your vehicles. And then also, because we want to take a look at the data that's associated with where people are charging, as well as the behavior of charging, etc., we are requesting that you provide data for a minimum of 5 years. And then if you own or lease the property, we may need an easement, and the program is a minimum of 10 years. Next slide, please. In this program, there are 2 options available for installation and ownership. And in both of these options, the customer will be responsible for the charger and the vehicle itself. And what SDG&E will be providing is the electric vehicle charging infrastructure to connect up to your charger. In option 1, as you can see in the teal color, SDG&E will pay for, construct, own, maintain everything from the power lines up to the interconnection with your charger. So we will pay for 100% of that. And in option, and then the customer would be paying for, as I mentioned, the charger and the plug-in vehicle. And then in option 2, SDG&E will pay for everything in teal, which is from the power source to the meter itself. And the customer would be responsible for everything downside of that meter. And what we would do then is we would take a look at what your infrastructure cost is for that customer side infrastructure, and we'll rebate you up to 80% of those costs. Next slide, please. And what I want to stress to our customers out there is that it does take about 11 to 16 months to complete a project from the start of a submission of an application to the time that we energize. So if you remember one thing from this presentation, it is to please contact your utility right when you have that inkling that you will be looking at electric vehicle fleets, because it does take time to plan, design, and activate that site. Next slide, please. And because we do know that there are high costs associated with charging, or that there will be demands, or you'll be charging at different levels, what we have developed is got approved is an electric vehicle high power rate. And this is aimed at our customers who use more than 20 kW, and it eliminates demand charges, and it has lower fixed rates. It is a time of use based, and there is a subscription plan. So it does have a subscription plan, but is not as onerous as the demand charges associated with a building type of operation. And our customers are also qualify for a rebate. I'm sorry. I guess that's on the next page. So when we're looking at costs, basically under the EVHP rate, a customer with a diesel would save about 50% being on that EVHP rate. And then also, we do have some rebates available for the chargers themselves. I had mentioned earlier that the chargers are the responsibility of the customer to purchase. However, if you do reside in a disadvantaged community, seeing that the Portside communities are in what we classify as disadvantaged communities, there's a section in El Cajon as well as a section at the border in San Isidro, then you qualify for a 50% rebate on your chargers. Also, if you're a school or transit agency, you would also qualify for a 50% rebate. And those amounts are shown here. Next slide, please. And so that was the conclusion of our Power Your Drive for Fleets program. The next program that I want to talk about is our Power Your Drive for apartment condos and workplace. We know that for some, they don't live in their own home, and we would like to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to have charging available for their vehicles. And so we will be installing, we will have a program that will roll out in spring and summer, spring for apartments and condos, and in the summer for the workplace. And what we're looking for is locations that would be willing to install this charging infrastructure at the workplace. And then also for apartments and condos, we're also looking for areas that are located within a half mile of apartment and condos. And this would be more like your shopping centers or maybe libraries or areas where communities can meet and congregate. And so this is about a little less than $50 million project. It is 2 years, and then there is a cost cap on what that infrastructure costs, which is about $15,000 per charging port. And so we will be rolling that out in the next coming months. Next slide, please. And then also, if you don't qualify for any of those programs that I just mentioned, we will be releasing what we call our EV charge rate, Rule 45, which is our EV charging infrastructure tariff. And basically, we will pay for everything that is from the utility power source up to the meter. And that would include the upgrade of the transformer, the electric conductors, construction and trenching, and repaving a parking lot. These are costs that would have been applied to the customer. But if you are going to be installing chargers that are separately metered from the rest of your building, and this is a non-single resident facility, then this Rule 45 would apply. And that should reduce some of the cost barriers associated with infrastructure installation. Next slide, please. And we do know that there also are a lot of upfront costs associated with getting an electric vehicle or transitioning your fleet. And so there are some new programs that are grants that will be available. What we call HVIP, it is probably one of the more popular funding programs that's out there. It will come back here in the next month, March 2022. There is about $500 million available, and all this funding will be available on opening day. In the past, if you're familiar with HVIP, they had opened in different waves, and this time it is open. All funding will be available on opening day, and this is a first come, first served basis. The website here is californiahvip.org, and you can take a look at that to see how you can qualify, but act fast. A lot of this funding does go very quickly. Next slide, please. What I had mentioned earlier in one of the other programs, in the Power Your Drive for Fleet programs, is that the customer is responsible for the chargers themselves and some of that infrastructure. And so what what is opening up is a new incentive program for the charging stations themselves, as well as for software, as well as for some of the infrastructure costs that's needed. And so this marries, the Energize program marries really well with our programs, or if you don't qualify for our programs, then under our Rule 45 program, this marries really well with that. And so this Energize program will be available coming up in early 2022. I believe it's the March timeframe as well. And this is for level 2 chargers, DC fast chargers, and as I mentioned earlier, charging management software. And you can go to energize with 2i's.org for more information on that. I do want to mention too also, next slide, please. I don't know if I listed it there. Yeah. So I do want to mention as well too that we will be hosting a webinar on Thursday, February 24th at 11 o'clock. And this really is targeted to our medium and heavy duty fleet that would talk about both the HVIP, which is the vehicle funding, as well as Energize, which is the infrastructure funding. And that information was sent over to Chewy, and hopefully we can share that with the community members as well. And I do want to mention there are certain projects that we are already working on in the Portside community. And we are working with the Port of San Diego General Services for fleet operations, and looking at charging stations for their medium heavy duty fleet. We already have charging installed for workplace sites. Also, I believe by the end of April, we will have 11 level 2 chargers for the public to use at Pepper Park. And then also we're talking with other port tenants who've shared interest in converting their fleets to electric vehicles. One other project I do want to mention that is probably very interesting to the members here is the West Coast Clean Transit Corridor Initiative. And it's basically looking at truck stops for all trucking industry that does business from the Mexican border all the way up to Washington, or I'm sorry, all the way up to the Canadian border. And so there are various utilities that are involved with this project. This would be all of the California investor-owned utilities, as well as SMUD up in Sacramento, LADWP, Portland General, etc. So we are involved in those discussions for looking at truck stop charging. And if you have any questions, definitely give myself a call or email, and we will be more than happy to work with you, look at your electric vehicle transition plan, etc. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Dinah.
John?
I have one. Yes, will your slides be available to our
believe
group?
So.
Okay, yeah, please, Chewy, make sure that we get those. I would, I'd be more than happy to go ahead and pass that out to many of our neighbors here in the community. Okay.
Yeah, I do see a question from Larry. Our webinar will be for Thursday, February 24th at 11 a.m. And this is to talk about the voucher program, EVHP, and for Energize, which are both opening up soon.
Thank you.
And as I mentioned, Chewy, I did send you that information and for registration, so we can share that with the group.
Definitely.
Any other questions? Well, thank you.
Thank you, Dinah. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Her email's right here. I'm in the presentation. Moving along, we wanted to welcome folks from SD Sequel who reached out and wanted to give a really interesting presentation on the opportunities with electrifying landscaping equipment. So I wanted to pass it on to Larry, Ron, and Caroline to give their presentation.
All right, thanks Chewy for inviting us tonight. Really appreciate the opportunity. I'm here with Larry Emerson and Carolyn Marsden, and we're really here to listen. We'd like to give you an overview of what we're up to and what's happening with some of the new regulations, but we'd really like to get your feedback and input tonight.
And my name is Larry Emerson. I worked at Caltrans before. I've been involved with electric vehicles, and we're working on the same thing as you, keeping the air cleaner, and we hope we can work together on that. And just to remind you, I have a 3-second sound effect. I hope it comes through. Oh, that didn't come out too loud, but we're going to be talking about noisy and polluting lawn equipment, gas-powered lawn equipment. So go ahead, Ron.
Okay, next slide. So our real goal is to, well, SG stands for San Diegans for Sustainable, Equitable, and Quiet Equipment in Landscaping. And we're really looking at how can we help protect worker health and the environment by banning gas-powered leaf blowers throughout San Diego County. And as far as the equity aspect of this is concerned, we're really committed to having a trade-in or buyback program before it takes effect, because we know it would be very expensive for small landscapers or independent operators to make that transition on their own. We're a coalition of different groups, including Electrify Now, ST350, Clean Is for Kids, Sierra Club, the League of Women Voters, and the Audubon Society. So next. So it's just amazing as you dive into this and learn more about it. According to CARB, running a gas-powered leaf blower for 1 hour produces the same amount of smog-forming pollution as driving a Toyota 1,100 miles from Los Angeles to Denver. And part of this is that two-stroke engines that are used in gas-powered leaf blowers burn oil as well as gas. And cars have gotten better with catalytic converters, while very little improvements have been made in gasoline-powered engines. And the emissions and noise levels present a threat to public health. And we're also looking out for, there's certain children, older people, people with hearing disorders or neurological conditions like autism, they're especially vulnerable to these issues. So we really view it as an environmental justice issue, number one for the operators that are using the equipment, and number two for the residents that are especially sensitive to these problems. Next slide. And if you're an operator of one of these leaf blowers, you're exposed to fumes, toxic chemicals, very unsafe noise levels at close range. There's asthma, hearing loss, neurological damage can occur. We were talking to one person that's now helping promote electrified lawn equipment, and he's gotten a neurological condition because when he was younger, he ran gas-powered leaf blowers, and it actually can cause permanent numbness and tingling in the arms and hands. Next slide. And the other thing is, climate change is happening faster than we probably expected. And both the city of San Diego and the county are actually behind on their climate action plan goals. So we think implementing a transition to battery-powered leaf blowers is a really good, clear step that can go a long ways towards reducing air pollution, getting some of these smog-producing materials from being exhausted from gas-powered engines. So California Assembly Bill 1346 recently passed and was signed by Governor Newsom. And so there will be no new gas-powered small off-road engines for sale in California in 2024. I think there's an exception for portable generators, but for all of the lawn maintenance equipment, you won't be able to buy gasoline powered by 2024. And our feeling is we should move even sooner to try and have programs in place to offset the cost of making this transition. And good news is the California legislature has approved $30 million for this program.
and thank Diane Tekvoriam, the director of EHC, suggests we contact your group to work with you. And that $30 million is one of those first come, first serve programs again. And we want to be ready in San Diego when they announce that's available and on a website where you can apply. We want to ask you folks, how do we inform the small landscape gardeners, and how do we help them apply? So that's the conundrum. How do we succeed? And so the money doesn't go elsewhere. We want to get as much as possible to San Diego under their current program, unless we can shift funds and dedicate them to San Diego. It's first come, first serve. So go ahead, Ron.
That's a great point, Larry. I know I was in a CARB meeting, and there was a program a year ago for a different type of offset of expenses, and the entire budget was used up in 6 hours. And so we'll talk a little bit more about how we want to maybe get your folks' help to reach the right people. All right, next slide. So several cities around the county and quite a few around the state have already banned gas-powered leaf blowers. So that includes Coronado, Solana Beach, Encinitas, and Del Mar. And as we mentioned earlier, it'd be really challenging for a small landscaping business to convert completely over to electric on their own. So we're really pushing hard for trade-ins and buybacks to transition to electric landscaping equipment. The trade-in would be that we would get the current highly polluting gas-powered equipment out of use, because the concern is, if people just get a voucher and they buy electric equipment, they'll probably sell or give away or keep that gasoline-powered equipment will keep getting used. Also, we're pushing for a buyback system. So if some of the landscapers want to transition over to rakes, which is a really better environmental solution, we could buy back their equipment and offset the costs there. Okay, next. So what we're asking of the San Diego City and County is to move their own crews over. So the city and the county have quite a bit of lawn maintenance crews, both city employees and contractors. We're asking them to start it themselves, resolve to ban gas-powered leaf blowers as soon as the incentive programs are in place. And the idea we like is that in our proposed ordinance, if someone's violating it, they don't get a fine right away, they get a fix-it ticket and information on how to trade in their gas-powered leaf blower for electric equipment. And next slide. So also we're asking, the San Diego APCD and the California Air Resources Board. So we've been reaching out to the APCD members as well as the CARB members. As of now, CARB is going to administer the $30 million voucher program statewide with an online application for a voucher. We're hoping that the San Diego Air Pollution Control District could convince CARB to not quite do it that way. We think there should be a program that covers at least 75% of the cost of the new leaf blowers. And we really think getting the two-stroke gas-powered equipment out of circulation is very important. Otherwise, that could keep getting used for another 10 years. And also sound levels. Some of the new electric equipment isn't quite low enough sound levels, so we'd like to have people make available electric equipment that's 65 decibels or lower. And so that's where we're at so far. I guess, Larry, did you have some more comments?
I have a
yes.
I'm Carolyn Marston. I'm the co-chair of CEQA along with Ron. And I was gonna, while the whole presentation was going this evening, I was thinking of the Carl Moyer program and how that could really benefit schools in the Portside area. Larry or Ron, do you want to talk about that a moment?
Yeah, so the San Diego Air Pollution Control District sponsored a Carl Moyer's program specifically for schools around things like electric school buses, but another one was lawn care equipment to electrify that in disadvantaged communities. So Larry and we contacted 16 school districts, and I believe, Larry, one of them actually applied. It was very challenging. The information on the program didn't come out until mid-November. Then we had Thanksgiving and Christmas, and the applications were due January 7th. So it was a very tight schedule. But I believe one school applied this year, and if the program comes up again next year, we'd love to work with you folks to help identify schools and get a jump start on the application.
So that was good point to bring that up. Again, we're here to ask your steering committee folks ideas on how do we make these programs more successful so that we don't run out of time and we get the maximum use of these funds and available. So do you guys have any suggestions for outreach? Do you guys have a newsletter? You're going to outreach to papers? What are your suggestions and how can we help them apply?
I have a question, and maybe it could be considered an offer. I am John Alvarado, and I run the Good Neighbor Project San Diego. I originally started the Logan Avenue Business Association. We have a terrible problem here on our street because the city of San Diego does not take care of the trees very well. And as a result, the sidewalks are completely dirty. They have to be, blown with the blowers that you're talking about, the gasoline blowers. And if somehow we could connect and use this as an equity statement that here we are, we're working together on Logan Avenue, one of the newest, if you will, cultural and art districts. I think that would be another good sign that, you know what, good people have good intentions, and I would love for you to consider that. And Chewy, if you can, send them all my contact information. Would love to be able to talk about it.
Well, that's excellent, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Next in line, I have Sandy Naranjo.
Thank you, Chewy. Thank you guys for the presentation. I really appreciated that. So my question is mainly about helping with the funding as far as for implementation, because I think this is really important, and I think this transition needs to really happen real soon. And I'm curious about how to help small business owners that are landscapers, because as you know, for example, the Port of San Diego, we're talking about procurement and talking about really making sure our contracts go to small business owners that are run by folks of color, women. And so I want to make sure that any transition like this, that we can figure out a way to really help those so it doesn't become a burden. So have you guys came up with any solutions to help with that transition, to help like small business owners that are landscapers, that are folks of color, to make sure that they get opportunities for this new equipment?
I'm going to chime in and just the fact is, once they started, there's an initial cost, but once they get started, they're going to find the operating expenses are less. Once it gets started, and that's why, yes, we want to take advantage of the 30 million first come, first serve, where we're asking for your help, how to get that word out and how to help them apply. And then the APCD, they have funds. And I just heard that the state has $20 billion excess that they can use for various purposes. If we can push CD to ask for more of those funds and dedicate them to use on these kind of programs, but we need to be pushing the representatives from the cities that sit on the APCD board, ask for that extra funding and support. So you guys can help, talk to those folks perhaps.
We were talking to Diane from the Environmental Health Coalition, who's actually the one that suggested we meet with you tonight. And she was talking about, could we get a couple of paid positions for bilingual people to go out and really scour the neighborhood and let people know. And the point is, you trust people who you know. And So any thoughts there on how we could do outreach with the right folks would be really helpful.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think my internet is stable. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, my internet's going in and out. And so I'm sorry, Carolyn, were you gonna respond?
I was just going to say that the $30 million is earmarked for small business owners, small operators. The commercial landscapers are not allowed to access that money.
Thank you for that point. And so I definitely would love to kind of continue this conversation about the outreach, specifically if we can prioritize our Portside communities in our areas, and especially I'm coming here from the Port of San Diego, so we can continue that conversation of how to make sure we're tracking the transition, doing the outreach. So if we could talk offline, that would be fantastic.
Well, that would be great. Maybe we can have you come to one of our bi-weekly meetings.
I would also like to state that in the past, I used to have a workforce partnership as one of our partners. And we used to clean the streets with trash and everything else. And at the same time, pay individuals to do the cleanup. We had many young people from our community, and we also had seniors and retired veterans who needed a little bit of work because they're just down the street from 32nd Street. And that would be a wonderful program, if you know what I mean.
That's a great idea.
So I guess I'll be hearing from you.
Yeah, that's kind of connections we're hoping to make.
Okay.
Thank you, Sandy and John. And maybe Ron, someone from your team could share your email in the chat. I realize it's not on the presentation if your team is willing to do that. Moving along, I wanted to pass the mic over to Sarah Joby.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out the idea that in the years past, the Air District had done some very successful trade-in events where people can bring gas-powered lawnmowers in and trade them in for electric. And that concept has been very, very popular. And perhaps this group could consider doing something like that. And potentially, when the APCD does it, they get a really long line. They fill up the stadium parking lot, but maybe to make it more manageable and to make it more targeted to the community, you could do it in conjunction with maybe a community event. I know, for example, there's a lot of times there's car shows and fairs that are at Chicano Park and things like that. So maybe a pairing of a trade-in event with an existing community event might be really a successful way to draw attention to the program.
That's a good idea. And we've also, had the suggestion that there's kind of perception that the battery powered are going to be underpowered and not work as well. And maybe a community event would be a great, just a showplace to kind of demonstrate how good the equipment does operate.
And that's exactly what we'd like the APCD to get involved or get the funding from Sacramento and do, like you mentioned, the lawn equipment where they swap the old ones that were working but polluting with and trade them in for the clean electric ones. We're here, but we need to work together to make those things happen. So we agree.
Also thought sorry, Larry.
Go ahead.
We also thought in terms of Spanish language radio, of having some public service announcements when it's time to make the application.
Those are great ideas. Moving along to Lupita.
Thank you for the opportunity. Actually, the last person sort of mentioned one of the ideas that I had to provide, because I just recently had a discussion about this very topic with people that happen to work on my garden. And we were talking extensively because the person we talked about education and how he sees pollution as a real problem. This is the gardener that I had working in my own yard. And so I told him about this funding coming up, and what we were thinking about is it helps a lot when we can demonstrate technology like this works and is demonstrated by our own people. So I think identifying people within these businesses, small businesses, to do pilot a program where they can, by their own experience, testify that the equipment works as intended, that it has all the advantages that have been mentioned today, that message will be much more powerful than coming from other ones, even from somebody like me. I'm the air quality advocate for EAC, just joined the team, and this is the sort of thing that I am really getting excited about because it has technology, and I'm an engineer by training. So it's all excellent opportunity to bring all of these pieces together. So for the people who presented today, I think one great thing to do will be to have the key message very clear so that we can fine tune it for our community and the context in which they are. And using, I think, Spanish radio will be a perfect way because oftentimes they are listening to the music while they're working. And there's a number of ways that we can tackle this. And I think it can be a very successful program. I do believe trade-in programs are excellent, and I can see how this can work really well.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to have a number of individual proprietors or small landscaping crews gain experience, and then they could be the ambassadors to talk to their peers and explain it and share their experiences.
And before I turn it to Nick, I know, Larry, you had your hand raised. Did you still want to provide comment?
Which Larry? The other?
Oh, Larry Hoffreiter. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, just real quickly, sorry about that. Just a thought, because I think this is a great program, and I'm not sure if SD Sequel knows or not, but there's some overlap with this committee, but there's also the Barrio Logan Community Planning Group, and they meet the third Wednesday of every month. And again, they get a lot of community interest, a lot of residents attend, a lot of businesses attend. So that just might be another forum, again, to get out some information and see if there's any smaller businesses that are interested in participating. Just a thought.
Do you know who we'd contact to attend?
Yeah, currently it's Mark Steele. And I can, I'll tell you what, let me follow up with you. I have your email.
Okay, great.
What do you need, Larry? I'm on the board. I'm on the board.
Yeah, there you go. Just, I'm just in terms of them contacting someone, Josephine, about potentially doing a short presentation in the Barrio Logan Community Planning Group.
Yeah, I would say you could contact him no, you can't, because the meeting's tomorrow. And then next month is the election. So that's not going to happen. Won't be able to happen until April.
Can they reach out to you maybe? Because you're staying on the board, right?
No, I'm off.
Oh, you're off too. So I go to those meetings pretty frequently. So I'll just go ahead and I'll reach out to you and provide you whoever the new chairperson's contact information is.
Yeah, and I'll give Mark a heads up anyway.
Oh, that'd be great. Thanks.
Okay.
Great suggestion. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. And Nick?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, great presentation. Thank you. This is Nick Cormier. I'm with APCD. And I just wanted to share, I work in our grants division. And one thing as you were doing your great presentation that I was thinking about, we've got in the not too distant future, CARB is going to be embarking on kind of refreshing the Carl Moyer guidelines. And it could be as soon as next year, I think. I'm not as tuned in as others in my group are on that, but it may be something that your group wants to stay on top of as it proceeds, because that is a public process that they do, and they look at different equipment types and different categories. And this is probably something that frankly needs to be looked at further as part of further Carl Moyer guideline updates, so that we can fund more zero emission lawn equipment outside of the ones that you've already identified for schools. And you were correct, and we did receive one application, I believe, from a school district, which we're evaluating right now, which is great. we'd love to do more outside of that. So being able to live within the boundaries of the Carl Moyer program, which we get the lion's share of our money from, being able to do more of this kind of equipment would be really useful, and tweaking the guidelines is probably a good thing to do on that. So air districts all over the state can more feasibly do it. So that's really all I can add on my front on that, but I just wanted to share that. It would also help in terms of when you start talking about ordinances and things that when they're required by regulation, it gets tougher for us to fund things in Carl Moyer, which is typically, we're funding equipment that's always before regulation kicks in. And so that's where, looking at the guidelines more holistically for something like this, I think would be useful. So just a thought to keep in mind.
One more thing, time is of the essence here because CARB intends to run this program this summer. So if we're going to have landscapers making applications online, it has to happen quickly. And it's kind of a catch-22 because we don't know if the money will come to San Diego. So it's very hard to promise anybody that there's going to be a program to apply to.
Yeah, if you're talking about I believe what I've heard so far is that would come through the core program, if I remember right, from CARB. Yeah. Again, I'm not totally up to date on what's going on with it, but if it is the core program, I think your ideas, the ideas you've heard tonight about getting the message out for radio and television and making sure people are informed about that opportunity as much as they can, that's critical. I think my idea would be more of a long-term solution, for a continual funding source that's coming to San Diego. We know we have Carl Moyer funding coming, year to year. So that would be more of like a long-term setup for funding more equipment like this. But in terms of, the core program specifically, I totally agree that there needs to be, kind of a full-throated, effort to get the word out. So that money isn't completely swallowed by companies in the South Coast and Bay Area regions. So I agree.
Yeah, we're kind of the forgotten air district in some ways, but certain parts of San Diego County, as you all well know, don't have good air quality.
Thank you for that. Great discussion. And speaking of CARB, I wanted to hand it over to our CARB representative, Liliana, who's on our meetings.
Hi, good afternoon. Nope. Good evening, everyone. Nick, thanks for bringing up the Carl Moyer guidelines. I think that they are going to be, I checked to see if anyone from incentives was here from our CARB team, and I'm not seeing anyone here. They typically don't come to these meetings. Anyway, maybe something that can help fund these programs or these types of projects are in the already existing Chapter 6 guidelines of the CAP incentive guidelines. So those are the Community Air Protection Incentive Guidelines in Chapter 6, which we call Community Identified Projects. And those are specifically for communities that have developed a SERP and identify programs or projects that are outside of the normal Carl Moyer scope.
You mentioned the SERP. That's your community emission reduction plan. Right. And your next revision, could you guys add this to your plan? So next year it's already part of the plan, and maybe more funding will be available.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think statewide, how we see the community emission reduction programs are that the SERPs are a living document, and they don't really go through revisions, but they go through like refinement. And I think that the community has, I'll let the district talk more about like what's specifically in the SERP, but there might be grounds to expand the community identified projects. or the types of projects that the community has, explored, to be able to fund them through the community identified projects of Chapter 6 in the CAP incentives.
And my understanding is there's some flexibility with the community identified projects at the very local level?
Yes, those are, funds that are, there are guidelines in the CAP incentive, guidelines in Chapter 6. Yes, we call those community identified projects, and they specifically are for the extra flexibility.
And I should mention, we have been talking to Derek Winters a little bit. He seemed to be a good resource.
He definitely is. That's our San Diego community liaison. So I'm really happy that you've already been talking to him.
Does anyone have any connections with Spanish radio or TV that you could pass along to us?
It doesn't seem like it, maybe. I'm not hearing anybody.
I was
Hi,
thinking,
Carolyn. I may be able to find some information for you. I've worked with Spanish media in the past. Who do I send the information to? I'm sorry, I'm Alina Mesa. I'm the new PIO for Air Pollution Control District. Sorry.
No, thank you, Melina. And yeah, I was just about to introduce you to the group.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
The chat is the SQL email. You could send it there.
Okay, yeah, I'll be here to send that out.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem.
And then Chewy, I might send you a follow-up email just with the names of some people and see if you could connect me with some emails in case I don't get it all.
Definitely. And Lupita, I see your hand is raised.
Yes, and I'm glad that Alina spoke because this is one of the ideas I had before coming to this job, where I think we have an opportunity to really use Spanish radio as a way to reach our communities. And I personally was looking into opportunities to reach out to them. So if APCD is doing something in that regard, please keep me in mind. I'm fully bilingual and I am, a scientist. So it's been my goal for many years to try to distill difficult, complex scientific principles and ideas to reach people in a way that's compelling. So I just want you to feel comfortable and know that this is one area where I really, really want to reach out in new ways. So Alina, keep me in mind. Gracias.
Thank you, Lupita. Appreciate it. Are there any other questions or comments for the SD SQL team? I did want to raise that Dr. Diaz, one of our steering committee members, recommended perhaps outreach to local repair shops and maybe signage at Home Depot.
Our understanding is if the CARB does the program the way we're kind of expecting, is dealers of equipment would get qualified, and actually first manufacturers would be qualified, then the dealers for those manufacturers within the San Diego would take part of the program. And what I don't know is how many of the professional landscapers go to Home Depot and Lowe's, or how many of them go to the more specialized industrial distributors. We're learning.
Great. I'm seeing Dinah just shared a contact at SDG&E who does communications for their Spanish media.
Okay.
Yeah, Patty Alvarez with Energy Communications does Spanish media. Yes, I've left her email.
Great, thank you.
Great. Any other questions or comments
Yeah, I think that when we came to this meeting, we had the impression that you guys had bigger fish to fry than gas-powered leaf blowers. But I really appreciate all the energy that you're putting into this. This is the best meeting we've had with anyone. So thank you.
Thank you for that. And yeah, this group is great, but I might be biased. Well, unless I don't want to keep folks waiting, so thank you so much, SD SQL, and I'll make sure to connect you to the folks mentioned in the call.
All right, thanks for the opportunity.
And moving along to our next agenda item, just wanted to open it up to general public comments from the group. Maybe any suggestions for future agenda topics? It's from what I recall, I think it might be useful for EHC maybe to give another update on the air filtration program.
Okay, I'll take that suggestion back to Letty and Dominique.
Great,
Thank you,
thanks.
Julie.
Okay, at our last meeting, I had asked for the information as to the model and serial numbers of the equipment that is planned to be used to put in the homes. In addition to that, I would like to reinsert, if you will, the thought that we as a group need to let the governor know that we are moving forward on informing him that there are certain needs this community is going to need in additional equipment, and that well, we need to stick together on this because the health concerns are huge, and a lot of people just don't understand that. And it'd be nice to let the governor know that we're going to be sending in letters for our seniors and for our children because we're going to need some tax relief, because I think that's the only way that's going to happen. And of course, what is it? Supposedly there's 76 or there close $1 billion worth of surplus funds. And I think he could let loose a few dollars our way. That would be very helpful.
Thank you, John. And hopefully the EHC folks maybe could share the serial information when the presentation happens, or models.
Yeah, if they could send that to me right away, I would appreciate it.
We may need the model numbers. I'm not sure about the serial numbers. I mean, that would be different.
Oh, yeah, I understand. But no, if I had the model number, then I'll be able to go ahead and get all the other additional information that I need.
And I can go ahead and send you the model numbers for the air purifier and the air monitor we're using.
Okay, yeah, that's right. There's an air monitor involved. Yeah, I would like the model number of that also. That's going to be very, very helpful. You need to remember, I'm not trying to be pushy, but the bottom line is this. I have literally thousands of families that I work through 7 different schools. And when they ask me questions, I can't just go, I don't know. I have to, you know what I mean? I have to be able to respond in a positive way, because the bottom line is, at the end of the day, we need to help and be a genuine help to our communities as a whole.
Understood. And we appreciate you getting the word out about this program. So I do appreciate it. So I will definitely follow up with the model information of those pieces of equipment.
Now you have my email and whatnot?
I do.
Okay. Yeah, please do so as soon as possible.
Will do. I'll do that tonight.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Nick. And Lupita?
To follow up on that, I think I would love to help. I think it's John. It is not just the models, understanding how the instruments or the devices are being used. Like I said, this is what I spent over 30 years of my life studying indoor air. So there is a combination of things, and the message needs to be not only genuine, but it has to be accurate or at least correct. So it is important to portray in the way that these things can be used so that they are bringing the real improvements that we expect. And there is a lot within the hands and control of the users that need to be done correctly. And yes, in addition to not just looking at the outdoor pollution, because indoor pollution in many studies showed to be much higher than outdoor pollution. So there is some education that we need to do within our communities. So when we're giving this message, we need to craft a better message regarding all the nuances regarding, because people have control over some things, and the technology alone will not do all of it. So I will suggest that, you know, we work with this messaging, and like I said, I offer my help and support to making sure that our communities get the relevant but also accurate information that they need to do their part.
I totally agree with you. And just so that you know, I'm a past government contractor, and you're right. We have to have all the science, all the materials. I'm currently working with a couple of engineers, air pollution engineers, and equipment manufacturers. So I'm all about, if you will, equipment manufacturers. So I'm all about, if you will, the data, because that is what we need to follow up on, because our people don't want to hear, well, yeah, maybe, or this might work if this happens. No, we need to let them know, just like you said, what the equipment is capable of doing and how to secure that is as meaningful as possible, and to educate them so that they can understand some of the extra things they can do about air purification. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lupita and John. I appreciate your passion for getting this right. Are there any other public comments? Nick?
Yeah, sorry, Chewy. I since we're talking about on the topic of this, I did just want to share that we had a media event this week, or last week, I guess, with the supervisors Vargas and Fletcher, as well as the chair of the Port of San Diego and our partners at Environmental Health Coalition, to announce the opening of the PAIR program, which will provide those air monitors and air filters to the Portside community. EHC does have a hotline set up already to start taking interest from people who are interested in signing up for the program. They're going to start taking formal applications on March 1st. So I wanted to make sure everybody knew about that, since I believe we meet, the next Portside meeting will be after that date. So I want to make sure everybody is aware of that. I did post the website that directs you to EHC's website that has information about the PAIR program. It has information about the equipment. So I would have folks take a look at that link. It also has the hotline number, which I can go ahead and pull that off the website and post that to the chat as well. But they are taking information from people for an interest list. So if you are interested, definitely feel free to give EHC a call. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
That's wonderful, Nick. And I wouldn't expect any less from your group. But that being said, if you can copy me on all that information, I'll get that out starting tomorrow, because we have a lot of seniors in our area. Okay, I mean, I live 3 blocks away from the water's edge, and I got folks that live a block and a half away. So I would love to be able to start getting this information out as soon as possible. They desperately need it.
Sure, will do. I will still follow up with you, John, I will send you that information directly. I just wanted to make sure everyone else on the line as well had that
Awesome.
same information. So yeah, we'll do. I'll send you something right after this.
Thank you so much. And once again, thank you, because you know what? Our community does need this kind of support. And you guys are doing a fantastic job. Tell Diane I said so.
Okay, thank you. Unless there are no more other comments or suggestions for future meetings, I don't want to keep folks waiting. So hearing none. Thank you so much, everybody. This was a great meeting. We learned a lot, and yeah, definitely excited for the energy to get the funds out to San Diego. And just as a reminder, our next meeting will be on the 4th Tuesday of March, which is March 22nd at 5 p.m. And we'll make sure to update the calendar on the website and let folks know. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.